Afternoon, traders. Boy, what a day today. Today is Tuesday, the 17th of September, right down here. We had very clear rejection today. Let me spread this out so you guys can see. I think this is still auto scaling. You can see where we opened up here right at the upper, what I call ultimate level. If you don't know anything about Fibonacci price theory, please take a look at some of the videos I've got. They're probably a good 6, 7, 8 months old now on TradingView. But understand that Fibonacci price theory is the concept that price must always attempt to find new higher highs or new lower lows. Always. Doesn't matter what you think it's doing, it is attempting to find a new higher high or a new lower low. If it fails to establish a new higher high, then it must establish a new lower low. And if it fails to establish a new lower low, then it must turn around and attempt to establish a new higher high. Well, we have a new higher high right up here. Nice big higher high off this rejection candle, which is very unique and potentially leading into my topping pattern again. If you remember my midday update, mid-morning update, that we needed to see how this played out. If it cleared this level and closed up here or up here or up here, then we would have been off to the races to the upside potentially. Because we now have rejection here, we've reconfirmed this red level. I will try to highlight it, make it a big dark red. We have reconfirmed that level. In fact, I will make it a bright pink so it stands out. We've reconfirmed that level as resistance. We are now, what I am now, I should say, expecting tomorrow's gapping pattern. We have a gap potential tomorrow. We have a top resistance in counter trend mode, which will probably be a bottom if this is correct. And again, these are my cycle patterns. These are my proprietary patterns I reference every day for members. They're daily. And we would be looking at this potentially rolling into a pattern. So we still have what we would be looking at it rolling into as a top at my original expectation. So we have this low or this rejection pattern here. We now have a gapping pattern. You can see how I marked it here as potentially gapping lower or potentially gapping higher. Well, this bar that I thought was going to be more into this range is now up here. So now we have the gapping pattern. In reality, gapping could be to the upside or to the downside. And if we get a gapping pattern to the downside off of this rolling topping pattern heading into the Fed, then we would be looking for an inverted topping pattern because it is in a counter trending mode. We are getting a top resistance. We'd be looking at it to be inverted, setting up some sort of a base or a bottom, possibly down here in the 555, 554 area. So again, if my original analysis is correct and we're getting into that rollover topping pattern, we're kind of, this is the line I drew earlier. I'll get rid of it and try to redraw it. Okay, come in here. We would be looking at a roll pattern like this, possibly rolling into a gap move, possibly setting up some sort of a bottom here, and then rolling into a potential breaking up or down pattern, moving into gap breakaway on Monday, the 23rd, breakaway on the 24th, carryover. Sorry, this breakaway is in counter trend mode, meaning it could be reverting back upward. If my analysis is correct, we would get a carryover, which could be a weakening bullish mode, followed by a crush in trending mode, which I believe would be to the downside, followed by a gap potential. Then we move into the inside breakaway. This is now 3 weeks out. Harami inside, another crush pattern in trending mode, a reversal rally, then an up, down, up. Now, what I'm trying to say here again is we still have to watch over the next day or three through the end of this week to see if this level here is challenged or broken. Okay. It is very important to understand that price is now, as I would call it, threatening new highs. We've got a new high. That's technically definition of an uptrend in Fibonacci price theory. So, you come to me and say, are we topping? Yeah, I'd probably give it a 60, 70% chance that we're still topping right now because we reject it. But when I say topping, hypothetically, I could say topping back over here, meaning that we're looking for a top all the way up. You don't want to be chasing tops until you know you have some sort of confirmation that a top is very, very close. And I think we're getting somewhat confirmation that it's very, very close. I would urge traders to stay away from taking any big actions through the Fed decision tomorrow. It's really dangerous to be on the wrong side of trades unless you know what you're doing and you can limit your risk. Bottom line is you just don't want to be caught on the wrong side of a freight train. You're going to stand in front of a freight train trying to make the market go up or down, change the direction of the train. Well, good luck. I've seen people do it before and they get run over. I mean, I've seen people take 60, 70, $140,000 losses just getting married into it's the top, it's the top, it's the top, all the way up. And it'll just eat you up until it's ready to change direction. So until we get some real confirmation that the top is in and we're looking at a bigger breakdown in price, remember, if this top does set up, and if my analysis, which you can watch the plan your trade videos from last week and the week before if you want, but if my analysis is correct and this top does set up, then we are going to roll back down into this area, retesting this uh, excess phase peak low pattern here, and then potentially breaking downward, maybe finding support here, and then attempting to come all the way down, maybe here. Now, remember, as I've told you before, the next phase of the excess phase peak pattern is to break this flagging formation, then attempt to move down to this level right here, trying to find support. So here's the next phase of this move is right there. That downward trend. Let me make it kind of a bright pink. There's the next phase of this move is breaking downward, trying to find support. If it fails here, it will rally back up and break to new highs. If it confirms, it'll break through this level, probably run into resistance right in this area, which has been my big yellow line from many months ago. And if it can't hold here, then it will attempt to come down and move to this level before attempting potentially to move even lower. We're only in phase two of this pattern, and it could roll very difficultly, aggressively to the downside. And I think it's really going to start to become very aggressive right here, Friday and into next week. If it rolls, you're going to have plenty of time to load up on put options or short positions or invert positions because we're really not going to get into that breakdown mode until roughly, the 23rd, 24th, 25th, when it really starts to break downward. Okay, so right now, I'm going to go over a couple other charts, look at some things, but I want you to realize be cautious. Okay, right now we are either going to rally on up tomorrow off the Fed and break into a new rally mode, or we're going to roll downward and roll into a rolling top. And that rolling top, remember, is going to take probably 3 or 4 days to kind of play out. So you got plenty of time here to roll into this top and see what actually happens. You don't have to be overly aggressive right now. And I don't urge you to go stand in front of a train trying to make it change directions. Okay, Bitcoin up to 60 grand, big move up. I kind of been calling this, telling people what's going on here, but we are into this flagging formation. So I would, where is it? Visual. Where is it? I'm on the wrong thing. There we go. I would urge that we are likely going to be moving this kind of a sideways channel. You know, you've got this move up, this move back down, move up here, and technically off of this deep low, you can call this an A, B, C, moving eventually back over it here, 58 grand, and then moving potentially out. Now, this roll here to 58 grand could be a little deeper. So be aware that we could kind of roll out of that sideways channeling into a deeper low down here, and that would be not uncommon. 57,000 is still the level that I believe price is dancing around. That is going to become the ultimate, really the ultimate support resistance level for Bitcoin. But I believe this is very good evidence that we've retested the high up above it, rejected, came back down. Now I would expect it to roll and come back down here in the 58,200, maybe down here 57,400, 500 before rolling back out. And remember, this puts us right over here, end of the month, end of September, only about a week and a half away. Then we roll out of this apex where volatility is going to get very aggressive. Okay, lastly, well, let's look at gold. Last I saw, gold was down. Perfect. I don't know if you followed my research earlier, but absolutely perfect. I went ahead and told everyone that I thought gold was going to move up. This was last week and early this week. Going to move up a little bit, roll down, try to struggle through the Fed day. And then I think we're going to be off to the races. I really do. I think we're going to be off to the races up into this area by the end of this week. So, again, let's just wait. If you got the guts to try to get into these positions, remember, anything down below, call it 25.85, would probably be a pretty good entry for you. Actually, 25.93, but 25.85 down in this area or lower would be a very good entry to start taking what I would call an anchor position. Nothing huge. The Fed could be very, it could really surprise the markets tomorrow. And I think the Fed's just going to leave rates just where they're at. I mean, I don't see any reason for the Fed to make any aggressive moves other than to placate all the traders and market makers out there that want the Fed to drop it by a quarter of a percent. Why? We have inflation coming down. They're taking money out of supply globally. We have no real crisis pending. We have an election that's about a month and a half away. Why? Just to keep the traders happy and lower rates so they can raise them again maybe later. I think they're going to just leave rates to where they're at. Let us go through the election, go into the inauguration in January, and probably February, March, April, May, really get serious about if and when and how they need to adjust rates. So gold will continue to reflect risk factors globally, and we've got a very high demand factor from overseas traders. And now I think, up at 2,600, it's so funny. I was telling traders way back here, I don't want to, I mean, this really dates me, I'm sure. But yeah, even further, I was telling people way back over here, 2015, I was doing webinars for this other company. And anyway, I'm a big believer after this big move, what I saw in gold, knowing what's going on. I kept telling everyone here, buy as much as you could at 11, 1200. I mean, it's just really buy it. And I did. I bought as much as I could afford and kept buying it all the way through this whole move up. But this is the move. This is the big move that's going to set, the winners from the losers, which is at this point, we're on our way up to 3,900. And as I told you guys before, we're on our way up. Try to get rid of all this. we're on our way up to this next phase that I've been telling everyone about for about 3 years. We're moving away from the breakaway phase, which could last all the way out into October, November of 2024. We still have a lot of time left before we get into this end phase, I think, moving very aggressively into this new breakaway phase. Sorry, this excess phase. And this is where things get really interesting because we have a high price range here, about 4 grand. And that would essentially be about double where we're at right now or where we were back over here. So we're going to potentially see a 40 to 60% increase in gold, in my opinion, over the next 10, 12 months. And then we'll continue to move higher. Okay, lastly, silver. Silver stalled out today, which is very good. We do need silver and gold to take a breather, especially heading into the Fed. Silver up here at 31 bucks is very solid. You can see the line I've drawn here as resistance. This is it's actually support as well, but this is where silver is going to really struggle. And we're, again, be aware that that topping pattern that I told you about, if we get it near the end of the month, around the 25th, 26th, 27th, in this area, you're going to be looking at wherever silver is. Let's say it's here around that 25th, 26th, 27th. If we get a big breakdown, you're going to watch silver collapse and then base and then move out of it. You're going to watch gold do the same thing. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. If you're going to get really greedy right now and try to buy into these lower areas, I'm going to tell you right now, you got to be quick on your exit, because if it rolls like I think it does, you could get lower levels, maybe even down into this area again, 29, 29.50, a buying opportunity. And so what you want to try to do here is, if we get any move this week by the Fed or in gold and silver based on the Fed or anything else, if you see silver up at 31, if you see gold up at, 26.90, 26.85, then really you're calling it good. Right in this area, you should be basically selling out, waiting for this rotation and timing your entry down here off the pullback. Same thing happens over here in gold. We've got the same pullback, and I've drawn it. I'm sure I've drawn it over here. Let me get rid of this. Drag this out of the way, and there it is. See that blue line? That's that pullback. So, if you get up here, I was a little too high on the gold level. 25.90, 26.20. That's the area right up in this area, 26.30, 26.40. That's the area you want to try to get out. You might go a little higher, great. You can leave a couple on as a runner, but you're going to be moving aggressively into what I think is going to be a pullback phase, right down into this area that I've circled many times. And that's going to give us that buy opportunity back at 25.50, 25.60. And that's your real buy opportunity. That's your load up opportunity right there. Okay, guys, that's it for now. Had a very busy day, still battling my little head cold, and we'll talk later. See you guys tomorrow morning.